An important tool that economists use is the process of economic modeling. We're all familiar with models such as toys like model cars, trains, and planes. Or at a museum or park, where you might find a small replica of a building or the surrounding area. Or maps used by GPS to help us get to our destination. We need to consider why we use a model and the trade-offs that we make when we use them. So why do we use models? The first reason is that reality is extremely complex. Imagine a simple task, such as going out to get a cup of coffee and a pastry. Imagine you're on your way out the door in the morning, and a person walking by asks you how to get to the closest coffee shop or bakery. Go ahead and pause the video for a few seconds to think about how you would answer. Now, I would like you to think about your answer. Maybe it went something like this. Go to your left, walk down the street, and at the fourth building, which is named Reynolds, enter the building. Walk all the way to the back of the building, and it's on your left. Now consider how well it matches reality. Did you describe the buildings around you? What color are they? Are there trees along the way? What kind? Is the road perfectly straight or does it curve a bit? I'm certain that there were some details you left out of your description. Just like when we use GPS, it doesn't describe everything along the way. Well, why is that? Reality is so complex that if you tried to describe it perfectly, you'd still be talking. The poor person that asked for directions would never get a cup of coffee, and most importantly, you would not get back to finish this video. What details did you leave out? Why those details? When using a model, we try to strip away the things that are not essential to the specific task at hand. In this example, if the detail would not help the weary traveler get to the coffee shop, you left it out. To go back to the original question, we use a model to simplify reality, to make it easier to focus on that particular task. We'll use economic models in the same way. For example, we're very interested in how consumers decide what to buy and how much of those goods and services they purchase. This is a very complex decision when you consider all of the goods and services we get to choose from on a daily basis. Go to Amazon.com and search for chocolate. You will get well over 58,000 items to choose from. What are the trade-offs that we make when using an economic model? First, we trade some detail, some part of reality, for ease of use. By simplifying the world, we make the model easier to use, easier to collect data, and most importantly, easier to understand. We also make it easier to focus on a particular aspect of the world, hopefully the one we're interested in. In economic modeling, there are always things left out. The yes but or you didn't consider this statements. That is true. We will simplify the world. We'll make assumptions, we'll leave some things out. The hard part of creating a model is often not what we put in, but what we leave out. Whenever we use a model, you should spend some time thinking about what was simplified and how that impacts the outcome of the model. We'll spend some time talking about that in future lessons. Another trade-off that we make is that as we leave out aspects of the world, it limits how the model can be applied. One good example of that is the all else equal assumption. Many of the foundational economic models start with this assumption that all else is equal, meaning the thing we change is the only thing different about the world. If we change the price of our product, all other product prices stay constant. If the price of a bottle of water increases, and it's also an unusually hot day, the impact of the price change will be different compared to if it's an unusually cold day. Another common point of confusion with using a model is that we will use mathematical tools such as algebra and geometry to describe the process of decision-making or the result of an action. How accurate is it to use these models? Pick up a ball or something soft. Now toss it in the air and catch it. Did you do any mathematical calculations to catch the ball? Probably not on a piece of paper. However, we can use math to describe the path that the ball traveled through the air. And we can use math to describe how you had to move your hands to be at the correct location to catch the ball. The mere fact that you did not pull out a piece of paper and solve a set of equations does not mean the equations are useless. It only means that our brains are able to solve some very complex problems without us even thinking about it. We'll use the mathematical model because it will help us to predict where the ball will go and where you will put your hands. And it will help us to understand what conditions you will catch the ball and maybe under what conditions you will not catch the ball. We'll do the same thing in an economic context. Models will help us understand what the potential impact of a price increase will be on demand for our product. Or it will also help us to think about what will happen if a law is enacted to set a minimum price for, say, the sale of cigarettes. Now that we know a little bit about the process of economic modeling, let's dive into our first problem. How will a consumer decide how to spend his or her scarce resources?